Hello, fellow lightworkers and spiritual warriors. Welcome to the August 2023 edition of the 5D Messages from Mount Shasta. I am Dr. Christina Samesha, intuitive guide and author. I have been posting monthly podcasts of channeled messages from Mount Shasta, root chakra of the planet, to inspire and support fellow lightworkers as we shift into a higher state of consciousness and help the collective with this ascension process. Please sign up on my YouTube channel to receive my latest podcasts. You can also visit my website, Christina Psyd, that's Christina with a CH, PSYD.com, for more information regarding this collective evolution we are experiencing, as well as information regarding my book, The Journey of Discovering Inner Peace, which has many valuable tools that can be helpful in navigating this challenging yet amazing time. How on earth is July over? Every month it feels as though time is just accelerating faster and faster. I am working on this podcast earlier than usual because August is starting off on the 1st with a bang, with a super full moon in Aquarius, and I wanted to get this podcast out before then. This is the second of 4 consecutive super full moons. August will also be ending with a super full moon, this time in Pisces, on the 30th or the 31st, depending on your location. With the 2 super full moons, the theme of August is all about releasing. If you are listening to this before or around the 1st, if you feel called, I would focus on releasing whatever is not in alignment with this new age, seeing that it is an Aquarius full moon. I would then, at the end of the month, focus on letting go of any Age of Pisces energy that is keeping you from moving forward. On the 8th, we will be experiencing Lionsgate, and I could already feel the energy leading up to it. I have noticed a slight shift in the energy recently, and the only way I could describe it is as detached and somewhat floaty. I don't think I have ever felt so detached from the 3D matrix, and it feels quite amazing. We will end the month with 2 more planets going into retrograde, which adds to this retrograde storm that we are already in. By the end of the month, we will have a total of 7 planets in retrograde. August is going to be yet another powerful and possibly exhausting month, as if June and July weren't intense enough. So please make sure you carve out plenty of downtime and be mindful of your energy. Let's do a brief recap of July, and I will share some messages I received during the month. If you recall, July started off super strong with a full moon that opened up the Sirius Gateway, and then the 777 portal, all in the first week, which was a very powerful and energized time. Speaking of recalling, something I wanted to mention is that one of the strangest experiences on this ascension path is the perception of time and our memory. Prior to 2020, I would have said I had an ironclad memory. However, for the last 3 years, there are days where I struggle to recall what I even did earlier that day, let alone the day before. Some days, especially lately, I struggle to recall what day it is, even though I've probably already looked at my calendar several times. There are also days where I feel as though I lose time. I go out on my patio to have a cup of tea, and then an hour just passes in a blink of an eye. Some days it feels like a lot is happening, even though on the surface it doesn't appear so, which makes me sometimes feel easily overwhelmed. There are days where I wonder if this is some early onset dementia. It was scary at first, but now I have just accepted it, that it's part of this ascension process. I have heard from many other lightworkers that they are having similar experiences. It may be just because time, dates, and other information just doesn't really matter as much anymore. And these are just some of the 3D constructs we're letting go of. Also, we are moving into heart-based living instead of brain-based living. We are also tapping into higher dimensions, which is keeping us from fully attending to 3D information, which may also explain this memory coding issue. If you are experiencing this, you are definitely not alone. Something that I find to be so incredibly interesting is that when I think back to my childhood, it seems as though it has happened in a past life. I feel so incredibly detached from it, which may be all the clearing I've done. There are also times where I just feel like I'm floating through my day in utter bliss, which is probably the best part of this ascension process. And with every month as we continue on this path, I feel more and more attached from the 3D drama. Speaking of the 3D drama, here is a strong message I received. I still see many lightworkers paying a lot of attention to the 3D reality show. I have said this message time and time again. We need to stop giving our attention to this lower vibration. Our preoccupation with the 3D comes from a place of fear. If we keep focusing on the corruption, greed, hate, etc., we are giving it power and keeping it alive. Remember, the light has already won. It is time to move on and step into this new frequency and create a new earth. Now put our attention on a dying system. Furthermore, we need to be careful with our words and stop labeling certain characters in the 3D reality show as the powers that be, figures of authority, etc. They do not have any power in our reality unless we give it to them. I believe this is really preventing us from moving forward. So let's really be mindful about the words that we choose. On the new moon on the 17th, we also changed nodes from the Taurus-Scorpio axis to Aries-Libra axis. Aries, our north node, which is the sign of the individual, a fiery initiator, will be setting the collective tone for the next year and a half. This energy is going to assist us in moving forward with our vision of being the trailblazers. After this new moon, the retrograde energy started, and this is when the energy really shifted. If you listen to my June podcast, I discussed how the energy has been very draining and that I speculated that we would need to rest for most of the summer. I was definitely right about that. Leading up to the retrograde, I was feeling super exhausted and knew I needed time off. The weekend before the retrograde, my body just couldn't keep going. And then right before Venus and Chiron went into retrograde, I had some profound insights. On Thursday, which is my writing day, I sat down to do a project that I had been wanting to for some time. I had carved out several hours to work on it and felt motivated, energized, and clear-headed. However, I just couldn't. I literally stared at a blank piece of paper for about 2 to 3 hours. It was as though something was stopping me. At first, I thought it was internal, and I was getting so frustrated, and I kept wondering what was wrong with me, and then started to beat myself up. Since I couldn't get anything accomplished, I went on my walk, which usually helps me get some insights. After I went through my portal on the hiking trail that I pass through just about every day, I started to feel a lot of energy in my 3rd and 5th chakras. I then received some very powerful messages. We are standing on the bridge between the 3 and 5D, which can be very frustrating and confusing. Many of the things we used to do and think were important in the past just don't seem to be anymore. Although we know that there's something amazing on the other side, we don't have full clarity just yet. This is very frustrating of those of us, including myself, who want to know the answers. However, this is a period of just trusting and letting go. I also heard that it's only going to take a certain percentage of us to help shift us into this new consciousness, and it's up to us light workers to do this for the collective. However, many of the things we are still doing and thinking are keeping us stuck in this 3rd dimensional frequency, and it is so important for us to focus on clearing this in order to move on. This is really a time of scrutiny and fine-tuning. Once I received this message, I then understood what the resistance was. Firstly, the force that was stopping me seemed to be outside of myself, and nothing was wrong with me. This concept of judging what we are experiencing is part of this 3D programming. Furthermore, before I could move on with my writing, I needed to clear some subtle 3D programs that I was still attached to. I'm currently in this huge transitionary place, shifting from being a full-time therapist to becoming a full-time writer. However, I often wonder how I'm going to pull it off financially. Although there's a huge part of me that is not at all concerned with money, there is still this little piece that is attached to this 3D programming that is worried about making money. I also realized that I existed too much in a place of doing instead of allowing, which is also part of this 3D programming. I had been taking many action steps for the last year, but kept feeling like things weren't happening quickly enough, and I was trying to make things happen instead of just allowing to unfold in the right time. I also realized that I spent quite a bit of time wondering what I was actually doing here in Mount Shasta, besides writing, of course. I'm originally from Chicago and have moved here at the end of September in 2021. Since that time, I have met many lightworkers who have also moved here within the last 3 years. A strong message that I received was that I'm here because of the frequency, and the future work for me will unfold in time. I need to just allow it to unfold instead of trying to figure it out. I think many of you have changed locations, and maybe this message brings you some clarity and ease. After my walk, I went home to process this and went into a deep meditation for several hours. I also may have fallen asleep. For the next few days after these insights, I napped a lot, integrating all of this. I came back to a place of realizing that the most important thing we need to do right now is focus on this ascension process, which is all about integrating the energy, resting from the solar flares, and processing whatever comes up, even if it interferes with our daily agenda, and to continue releasing our attachments to this old 3D matrix. I know this journey has been a lot of hard work, but we are the leaders in this movement. If we are to lead with integrity, we must really do the work. We are the first wave, laying the foundation for the rest. As we approach Lionsgate, let's embody the courage and empowerment of Leo by releasing any remnants of victim consciousness, worry, judgment, etc., and just trust and allow our destiny to unfold. And again, this month will definitely be another powerful month, so please be mindful of your energy. We got this. Sending all of you lots of love and light from Mount Shasta. I am so excited to be sharing another amazing month with all of you. Stay tuned for my next podcast in September.